Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine you're up there, floating, hundreds of miles above Earth, looking out,
Yeah.
and suddenly you see something moving in a way that just, well, it doesn't fit.
Hmm.
Something that makes you think maybe our orbital neighborhood is, I don't know, busier, stranger than we usually think.
Right. And what's fascinating here is how just one single piece of visual evidence, like a short video clip,
Yeah.
can become this sort of gateway to a much bigger conversation. It really pushes us to look past the easy answers, the first assumptions, and really analyze the details, these unexplained things that might be happening right outside our window, so to speak.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're doing today. This deep dive and zeroes right in on some really intriguing ISS footage from 2016.
Okay.
Specifically, we're digging into an audio recording from Secure Team, that online group. They often share and look into videos of unexplained stuff.
Right, I know them.
And they're discussing an object that apparently exited Earth's atmosphere. So our mission here is to pull out the key things they saw, look at their arguments against the usual debunking theories, and, think about the wider picture. But only based on what Secure Team presented in their material.
Got it. Sticking to the source.
Exactly. So let's set the scene. May 12th, 2016, the ISS cameras pick up something weird. What did Secure Team say they saw first? What caught their eye?
Well, the first thing was this object flying up, actually leaving Earth's atmosphere. Secure Team mentions that initially some people watching thought maybe it was a rocket or perhaps even a UFO burning up on its way out.
Okay, flying up, and the details, the visuals, that's where it gets really interesting, isn't it? They describe this very strange line behind it.
Yeah, like exhaust, but they emphasize it's not just one long line. It wasn't straightforward.
And then, as it moved up,
It seemed to just disconnect at the very end. That's the phrase they used. Right after a long, bright flash, and then poof, gone.
wow, disconnect, flash, gone.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of process.
it is. And it doesn't stop there. The sequence gets even stranger. Right after that first object vanishes, it pops back into view for a moment,
It reappears.
just briefly, and it looks to connect with, again, their words, a second object, something that was apparently just sitting here, already in orbit.
Already there, waiting.
Seems like it. And after this apparent connection, both of them just vanish completely. No more lights, no flashes, nothing.
And anything left behind, any trace.
Yeah, Secure Team points to this odd, almost what looks like exhaust, still hanging there, and they stress it looked completely different than the surrounding cloud cover.
Huh. It definitely doesn't sound like your standard rocket launch or, a meteor breaking up.
Not according to their analysis, no.
Okay, so you've got this flash, the object moving up, the weird disappearance, the reappearance, the connection. When you see something like that, especially from space, the go-to skeptical explanation is often, oh, it's just the sun, reflecting off clouds or the ocean.
Right, the old sun glint theory.
Yeah. But Secure Team, in this recording, they really push back on that. They dig into why they think that's not what's happening here. Can you walk us through their points?
Sure. They're quite methodical about it. First, they argue this was not the sun, because usually sun reflections in ISS footage, they're massive, huge areas of light. Not like this, which was a small pinprick of light that only lasted a few seconds.
Okay, so size and duration are wrong. What else?
Second, they point out that sun reflections typically glint off the ocean. That's where you see those bright flashes. But this footage showed the object and the flash over clouds.
Location matters too.
Definitely. Third, they say if it were a sun reflection, it looked like a large glaring halo, much, much bigger than this small flash. And here's a crucial point. They note there's a small area of open ocean where there's no clouds visible in the frame. If it was a sun reflection, it should have gotten brighter or more visible over that open water.
But it didn't.
Exactly the opposite. The object actually disappears when it goes over this patch of ocean.
So wait, it disappears over the ocean, where a reflection should be strongest.
Precisely. It strengthens their argument that it wasn't a reflection. They summarize by saying real sun glints are big glints of light coming off of the ocean. This footage showed the complete opposite. An object moving up through clouds, and the flash it made seemed to reflect below it onto the clouds themselves.
Okay, that's a pretty detailed rebuttal of the sun reflection idea. It really suggests, based on their analysis anyway, that you can't just dismiss every bright flash as, mundane. You have to look at the specifics.
Exactly. The context, the behavior, the location, it all matters.
And this object wasn't alone, was it? You mentioned that second object it seemed to meet. That's just as mysterious. What did security teams say about its appearance? Was it just a strangely shaped cloud, maybe? Or something else?
Well, they give a few reasons why they think it wasn't just a cloud. First, the footage apparently showed it had a much more reflective surface than the clouds around it.
More reflective.
Yeah. And more than that, it seemed to display flashes of color, blue, red, and green flashes of light reflecting off of it, which to them gave the impression that it might be more metallic, possibly in nature.
Metallic. Unlike regular clouds.
Right. They contrast it directly with the other cloud cover, which just looked white. Standard clouds. The second object, though, it flickered with these different colors, red, green, blue, even yellow flashes.
So what does this all mean then? That apparent meeting or a linking up with a second craft? I mean, that's a huge part of the puzzle here, isn't it? Even if Secure Team admits they wish they had more footage to compare it to.
Absolutely. It shifts the narrative from just a strange object leaving Earth to a potential interaction, a rendezvous maybe. It definitely paints a picture of something more deliberate, more complex.
And it's interesting you say complex because the recording mentions this idea, objects leaving Earth's atmosphere. It's actually nothing new, according to them.
That's right. They bring in some historical context. They mention footage from the STS-48 mission. That was a space shuttle discovery flight back in the 90s.
Oh, yeah, I remember the buzz around that footage.
Exactly. They reference how a massive amount of these crafts were supposedly caught using the infrared camera on that mission. And the key detail they highlight is that these objects were seen flying at different speeds. They weren't just passively drifting.
Flying at different speeds. Which brings us neatly to another common explanation, maybe one of NASA's favorite go-to excuses, as Secure Team puts it.
The ice crystals explanation.
Bingo. They even mentioned an astronaut, one who apparently became a skeptic, saying he was not a fan of UFOs anymore because he'd supposedly never seen one, and claimed anything people see is just merely ice crystals.
Right. But Secure Team really takes issue with that, particularly in the context of the footage they analyze, like the STS-48 stuff. They offer some pretty strong counter-arguments.
Okay, how do they refute the ice crystal idea?
They're very direct. They state, ice crystals do not change speed, period. They do not make right turns. And crucially, they do not act as if they are piloted.
Piloted behavior, that's the key distinction.
Exactly. They contrast that with the crafts seen in the video, which are apparently going at various speeds, implying independent movement. And another big point. The objects in this footage, they say, are not spinning one iota.
Not spinning. Why is that significant?
Because typical ice crystals or debris vented from the ISS, they almost always look to be spinning very quickly, tumbling. These objects, however, were reportedly moving in a straight line, steady.
So steady movement, varying speeds, maybe turns. That sounds fundamentally different from just random tumbling ice particles. That alleged piloted behavior is really the core of why they dismiss the ice crystal explanation for these specific sightings.
It is. It suggests to them at least some form of control or intention that simple debris wouldn't have.
That distinction is fascinating. And beyond just debunking ice crystals, the source material, the Secure Team recording, also touches on the different shapes of UFOs reported in space footage.
Yes, they list several common ones. There's the traditional triangular TR-3B style shape. You hear that one a lot in conspiracy circles, often linked to secret tech.
Right, the black triangle.
Yeah. Then vector, sort of a chevron-shaped UFOs, also cigar-shaped objects, and of course the classic disc-shaped objects.
And connected to the chevron shape, they mentioned this really intriguing theory about a secret link.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty bold claim they make. They assert that NASA and virtually every other space agency has a very secret link to the chevron symbol.
How so?
They claim these agencies use the chevron shape or variations of it in every single one of their official logos.
Really? In all of them?
That's their claim. And the implication they draw is pretty out there. They suggest the agencies are basically advertising through this secret logo that these UFOs exist, particularly the chevron or triangular ones, like a hidden message in plain sight.
Wow. Okay, that's quite a theory. Hidden messages in logos.
It's definitely provocative.
And then one more type of anomaly they discuss in the recording, something they call satellites that aren't ours.
Right. This refers to objects tracked from Earth that behave strangely for satellites.
How so? What do they do?
Well, according to the source, these objects have been tracked, making movements, changing speed, things known satellites don't typically do on their own. And sometimes they've even become lost.
Lost. You mean like they just disappear from tracking?
Exactly, as in they've changed position and can no longer be tracked, leaving observers, trackers on Earth with no idea where they are, which is obviously highly unusual for any documented satellite, ours or anyone else's.
Satellites playing hide and seek. Okay, so let's bring this whole deep dive full circle back to that original 2016 ISS footage that started it all.
Okay.
We have this object, according to Secure Team, exiting the atmosphere of the Earth. It leaves a massive flash behind it, then it ejects very smoothly, vanishes, and then appears momentarily with this object, which is perfectly in the exact right spot. That second object, already in orbit, the question just hangs there, doesn't it? Could this really be a meeting? Linking up with the second craft?
That's the million-dollar question based on their interpretation, isn't it? Secure Team themselves conclude it's amazing footage nonetheless, even while they say, look, we'd love to have more footage, more comparisons to be absolutely certain, but what they see is, for them, amazing.
Yeah. This deep dive, just based on that one source analyzing that one event, it certainly brought up some really thought-provoking claims and observations. It definitely makes you question the easy explanations for some of the things seen up there.
Absolutely. And if we try to, connect this to the bigger picture, it really encourages us and you listening to think critically. How do we evaluate these kinds of anomalous sightings, especially now with so much footage out there?
Right.
The source we looked at, Secure Team, they offered specific ways to differentiate like piloted behavior versus random drift, or unique visual cues versus just sun reflections. It makes you consider, okay, what criteria should we use? What distinctions really matter when we're trying to sort the known from the potentially unknown?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And for you listening right now, what part of this analysis stood out the most? Did Secure Team's interpretation of the ISS footage, or their points about ice crystals or those lost satellites, did any of that spark new questions for you about what might really be navigating Earth's orbit?
And maybe here's a final thought to chew on. If objects are exhibiting the kind of piloted behavior Secure Team describes, changing speed, making turns, potentially meeting other craft, what would that actually imply? Think about it. What would it suggest about their origin, their purpose, and maybe even our whole understanding of intelligence beyond Earth?